Hello and welcome. Today is March 31st. My name is Joshua Clockman, and this is my FTT122 Week 3 assignment, Introduction to Ammunition and Basic Ballistics. 3-part this week. Number 1, first part, the difference between explosives and propellants. Both of them are obviously a powder of some kind that ignites and causes an explosion. The difference between an explosive and a propellant is how long it takes for one grain to burn and ignite the next grain. Explosives are going to be on an immediate reaction where it's as fast as possible, igniting its buddies, going on. Propellants are going to be a little more elongated, where they're going to burn a little bit slower. They're also going to take a second longer, well, obviously a lot faster in a second, but it's going to take a second longer to burn, say, the powder piece next to it, or they call it the kernel. Part 2, in my opinion, should the firearms industry find ways to move away from current propellants? If so, what could be used instead of the current propellant sources? In my opinion, no, I don't think we should move away from it. Personally, we've come a long way. Propellants, we think we've mastered it, and every time you turn around, something new and improved is coming out, something better than it was before. We've come a long way, though. We know we have so much more understanding on how propellants and just cartridges and rounds and how the ballistics of everything on all sides of it work. So I don't think we should start trying to find ways to move away from it, but it's not always a horrible thing. Instead of the current propellant source, going on the long haul, direct energy weapons. I thought we'd have flying cars by now. Personally, I think that should be the next step. Perfect what we got, and let's go to the future. For part 3, draw a cross-section of all 3 types of primers described in chapter 6, battery, cup, boxer, and burden. Show my drawings and describe how they work. So, mind my drawing, I'm not the greatest at it. Starting with the boxer primer. Anvil here, I got a little bit more in depth, and then you have your primer cup down here. These will be a little bit more like this, where it's a confined space. These are more ideal for reloading in pistols and stuff. And what'll happen is the firing pin will ignite the primer, and the big thing about the boxer is it has 2 flash holes. So it'll ignite the primer, and the primer, the heat, and all the flash and stuff will come up and rise around the anvil on 2 sides for the boxer and ignite all the propellant in this round. Moving on, we have the, boxer primer, which is very similar to the, did I write boxer? Oh, the burden primer, sorry, the first one was the burden. The boxer primer is very similar to the burden primer, except the main difference is it has 1 flash hole. Inside the cap, or the primer, which is also a decent one for reloading. Inside the primer, though, there is a vent around the anvil for the propellant to burn. And there's only 1 flash hole to go from primer to the propellant. Moving down, we have the battery cup, which is more for shot shells and some muzzle loaders, not all of them. And it's going to be pretty much the same as the other 2 as far as igniting the primer cup around the anvil. And then they actually have, like the boxer, has 1 vent hole into the propellant. And that is it for week 3. See you next week.